Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss the accounting cycle and I'm going to give an example for the identification of events to be recorded for step 1 and then for step 2 transactions which are recorded in the journal. For step 3 the journal entries are posted to the ledger and for step 4 preparation of a trial balance. So I will be going to give an example with these 4 steps. So before that, let me explain first the step 1. So in step 1, that is actually what we did in our previous discussion. That is the identification of events to be recorded. So meaning to say, if after reading the transaction, so dapat we have to identify kung ang accounts that are affected, kung asset ba siya, liabilities, or equity. And also, we have to determine whether mag-increase ba ang sa asset or mag-decrease, as well as sa liabilities and then the owner's equity. And of course, using the rules of debit and credit, we have to determine whether the account will be debited or credited. So that will enable us to know if nag-increase ba or nag-decrease. Alright? So, for this time, we have the journal. So, ang journal entry, that is on step 2. So, assuming that we already know how to analyze every transactions. So, for step 2, that is the journal. So, the journal is a chronological record of the entity's transaction. A journal entry shows all the effects of a business transaction in terms of debits and credits. Each transaction is initially recorded in a journal rather than directly in the ledger. So, ibig sabihin nun class, ang mga transaction natin ay i-record natin doon sa ating journal. So, a journal is also called the Book of Original Entry. Okay? So, ano yung format ng ating journal? So, sa standard contents of general journal, we have the date. So, ito yung year and month in which every entry or the transactions have occurred. Then, sa number 2 naman, account titles and explanation. So, dito natin ilalagay yung account titles. So, ano ba yung mga account titles? So, it could be cash, accounts receivable, accounts payable, or the capital. Meron din tayong posting reference. So, this will be used when the entries are posted. So, each of the accounts, meron siyang corresponding number. And then, dito natin ilalagay yung posting reference. And then, we have the debit and credit column. So, of course, dito sa debit column, it is where the amount for each transaction is entered, no, for the debit side. And then, for the credit side naman, the credit amount for each account is entered in this column. Okay. So, for step 3, the journal entries are posted to the ledger. Okay. So, since hindi tayo gagamit ng ledger talaga because it would be very costly. Kasi sa ledger, dapat ang isang account meron siyang isang page, no? So, ilan yung mga accounts? We have cash, accounts receivable, supplies, prepaid rent, hanggang sa mga expenses. So, pag ang gagamitin natin ay yung ledger, so isa-isa dito sa accounts ay dapat meron siyang ledger. So, dahil para makatipid tayo, no? So, instead of using one page for each accounts, ang gagamitin natin ay ang T accounts. So, ganito yan. So, for an example, we have cash. So, meron siyang T. So, sa left side, we have debit. Tapos credit. We also have accounts receivable. So, lahat ng mga accounts, dapat meron siyang T accounts. Okay? So, itong mga T accounts na to, this is actually referred as our ledger. So, for our discussion, ang gagamitin natin is T accounts instead of the ledger. Okay. Then next, we have the trial balance. So trial balance is a list of all accounts with their respective debit or credit balances. So it is prepared to verify the equality of debits and credits in the ledger at the end of each accounting period or at any time the postings are updated. So after natin malagay lahat ng mga transactions dito sa ating mga T accounts, then we will be getting the balances of each accounts. And then, ilalagay natin yung mga balances sa ating trial balance. So, this is an example of the trial balance. No? So, of course, yung mga assets that ang normal balance niya ay doon sa debit side. Okay. So, sa liabilities naman and owner's equity, doon siya sa credit side. For the withdrawals and revenues, withdrawals rather, dito siya sa debit side. Ang revenues naman, dito siya sa credit side. And then of course, the expenses, dito siya sa debit side. Okay. So sa trial balance, dapat pareho yung amounts ng debit at saka credit. Of course, from the word itself, balance, so dapat pareho siya. Okay, now let's proceed. Let's answer one example. Let's answer this problem number 14. Okay, so sa problem number 14, we have to prepare the journal entries for the December transactions. Also, set up the following ledger accounts. So, instead na ledger accounts, ang gagamitin natin ay ang T accounts. Okay? And of course, we are going to prepare the trial balance. So, let me read. Persia Sikat is a financial planning consultant. She completed the following transactions during the month of December of the current year. So, nagsimula ang transactions nila from during the month of December, date 1. So, for December 1, Sikat invested cash in the business 200,000 pesos. So, ano yung magiging effects niya? Or magiging entry natin? So, of course, since nag-invest si Sikat ng cash in the business, so that will add 200,000 sa cash, no? Or sa asset. So, debit cash, 200,000. Then, credit natin doon sa Sikat Capital, 200,000. So, dito sa journal entries, so you have to put or indicate the month first. December 1. Okay? So, ano yung debit? Debit side. So, we have cash. So, that is 200,000. So, ilagay natin dito 200,000. And then, credit side, Sikat Capital. So, by the way, saan nyo makikita yung mga list of accounts? Nandito siya sa given, no? Okay? We have cash, accounts receivable, office supplies, accounts payable, Sikat Capital, Sikat withdrawals, consulting revenues, rent expense, salaries expense, utilities expense, gasoline expense, charitable contribution expense. So, lahat ng mga transactions dito, ang mga affected na mga accounts ay makikita nyo dito. Okay? So, we have debit cash 200,000, tapos credit Sikat Capital 200,000. So, credit side 200,000. Then, explanation. So, remember na meron siyang indention. Okay? Sa debit. So, credit dito siya. Tapos, sa debit, meron siyang indention before mo isusulat yung debit side. And you have to follow this because that is how it is. So, 'di ba? Accounting is an art of recording. So, hindi siya basta-basta na magre-record ka. So, it must be organized. So, ayun. So, ano yung magiging explanation dito? So, to record. So, depende kung ano yung magiging explanation. So, kayo nang bahala as long as your explanation also corresponds to the transaction itself. So, this is to record initial or investment, to record investment. December 1. Then, after that, ipopost natin siya doon sa ating T account. So, we're going to look up or hanapin natin yung cash. So, ayun, dito siya. So, debit. So, lagyan natin siya ng date, no? So, i-abbreviate ko lang 12/1. That is 200,000 debit. Tapos, credit. Sikat capital. So, dito siya. So, you have to indicate the date, no? Para pag nagkamali kayo, madali nyo lang hanapin kung saan siya may discrepancies. Okay, so let's go for number 2. December 3 rather. So sa December 3, paid December office rent 10,000. So 'di ba pag nagbayad kayo, that will of course decrease, no? So since the payment is cash 10,000, so that will decrease your cash. And of course, office rent is ang babayaran nyo na 10,000 for the office rent is considered as a rent expense. So, for December 3, that is debit rent expense. $10,000. Tapos, credit natin ang cash, of course. 10,000. And then, don't forget to post this on your T accounts. So, we have rent expense debit. So, 12/3, December 3, 10,000 sa debit side. Tapos sa credit side naman, for our cash, December 3, 10,000. Okay. Then, what will be the explanation? To record payment of office rent. So, ganun lang. Okay, so December 4. Received 25,000 from a client Pasgamino for services rendered. So, naka-receive ang si Persia Sikat ng 25,000. So, pag naka-receive ka ng 25,000, that is cash kasi hindi siya naka-indicate na account, no? So, that is cash, meaning mag-increase yung cash natin. So, an increase in cash, that will be recorded on the debit side. And of course, this is for the services rendered. So, ano yung service natin? Yung service natin is consulting revenues. So, of course, credit consulting revenues. So, ano yung worth? 25,000. So, December 4, cash, debit cash, 25,000. credit consulting revenues. $25,000. Of course, this is to record services rendered. Then, reflect again dito sa ating the accounts. So, debit cash, 25,000. So, don't forget the date. Then, credit consulting revenues. $25,000. Okay, next we have December 7. Received 20,000 from Teresco Campillo, a client for services rendered. So, ang transaction number 7 is actually similar with transaction on December 4. So, we have debit cash, 20,000. Plus credit consulting revenues, $20,000. So, same explanation. So, to record services rendered. And of course, i-reflect natin siya dito sa ating T accounts. $20,000. Yun. So, let's go to the next number. Next date, rather. December 12, paid cash to Shell Super Service for gasoline purchases, 600. So, nagbayad ka ng cash. Ano yung mangyayari sa cash? Magdi-decrease siya. So, decrease in cash will be on the credit side. Of course, itong gasoline purchases, that is gasoline expense. December 12, debit gasoline expense. How much? That is 600 pesos. Then cash, credit cash, 600. So to record gasoline purchases, then reflect here sa ating T accounts, gasoline expense, debit side, 600. Tapos credit cash, 600 pesos. December 14, paid cash to Tulungan Manpower Services in payment for contractual secretarial services during the past 2 weeks, 6,000 pesos. So, paid cash pa rin. So, meaning mag-decrease yung cash natin. And of course, that is for the payment for secretarial services. So, that is also an expense, no? So, anong category ng expense yan? Anong type of expense? Salaries expense. So, debit salaries expense, ₱6,000. credit cash 6,000 pesos. So, ano yung explanations? Of course, to record payment of salaries. So, babayaran natin ng bibigyan natin ng sahod ang ating secretarial. Okay, so that will of course be reflected here on our T account. So, hahanapin natin yung salaries expense. So, here. So, that is on December 14, 6,000. Okay? Then, of course, ating cash, 6,000. Don't forget the date. Then, don't also forget also na i-reflect nyo dito sa T accounts and every transactions nyo dito sa journal entries. Is it clear? Okay. So, let's go to December 17. Both office supplies on account 2,800. So, last time I told you na kapag yung transaction sinabi ng on account, on the owner's point of view, pag kayo yung bumili tapos on account, meaning utang siya, no? Liability. So, in this case, that will be recorded on the accounts payable. So, increase in accounts payable, ano siya? Anong side? Liabilities, di ba? So, that will be recorded on the debit. Credit. Take note. Credit side. Okay. So, both office supplies. So, sa debit side, lalagay natin, mag-increase ang, of course, ang office supplies. So, always take note na kapag meron kang transaction sa debit side, of course, you must also have a transaction or meron din siyang katapat sa credit side. So, sa December 17, so debit office supplies, $2,800. Since utang siya class, so accounts payable on the credit side. 2,800. So, to record purchase of supplies on account. Then, don't forget, sa T accounts, office supplies, ayun, 2,800. December 17. Tapos, credit sa accounts payable. $2,800. Okay, so let's proceed. Sa December 20, paid telephone bills, 1,000. Nagbayad ka ng bills worth 1,000. So, in this case, since cash ang pagbayad mo, mag-decrease ang cash. So, decrease in cash, that will be recorded on the credit side. So, i-record natin siya sa credit side kapag mag-decrease. Then, ano yung binayaran natin? Telephone bill. So, anong klaseng account yan? So, that is expense. Diba? So, saan siya dito? Meron ba siyang telephone bills or telephone expense? Wala. But, that telephone expense is categorized as utilities expense. No? So, In our transaction sa journal entries dated December 20, so that is debit, utilities, expense. So, magkano yon? 1,000 pesos. Tapos, credit, cash, right? Kasi hindi naman sinabing utang. So, cash talaga. So, 1,000. So, the explanation to record payment of telephone bill. So, ganun lang. Then, reflect it here again. So, we have debit, utilities, expense. So, dito. December 20. So, don't forget the date ha. Kasi pag walang date, minus na yan. Tapos, credit. Wala pa. Credit, cash. 1,000. Okay, next we have December 21. Sikat withdrew cash for personal use worth 11,000. So, nag-withdraw si Sikat. Then, of course, that will decrease your cash again. No? Mag-decrease yung cash worth 11,000. And of course, yung withdrawal din natin, class, i-reflect natin siya doon sa Sikat withdrawals. No? So, we have December 21. That is debit, Sikat, withdrawal. Diba? Dugay nagkamaot akong agi. Tapos, 11,000. Debit, credit, cash. At bakit nag-credit cash tayo? Of course, nag-decrease kasi nag-withdraw siya ng cash. Every withdrawal is recorded on the withdrawal sa debit side. And of course, ang counter or ang effects niya sa other accounts is cash kasi cash yung withdraw niya. So, to record withdrawals. So, ang sa transactions nyo, class, ay sa explanation, depende na sa inyo. Okay, lahi man taog panghuna-una kung saan na to pag-express, no? Or pag-convey sa ato ang understanding on the transactions. So, pwede to record withdrawals for personal use. Depende na sa inyo ha, as long as it is understandable. Okay, then you have to reflect it here sa inyong T accounts. So, debit, Sikat withdrawals, December 21, 11,000. Credit, cash, 11,000. Okay, so we have December 24. Donated cash to Philippine National Red Cross 1,000. So, nag-donate ka ng cash. So, decrease na po itong cash, class o 1,000. Kay cash man imuhang i-donate. Diba? Naghatag man ka og cash. So, decrease ta og 1,000. Now, para ahaman to siya for the donation. So, ang kanang donation, class, magitaon na ni mo diri. Cash ba na siya? Dili po, no? Cost receivable. Okay, of course, diri siya sa expenses. Rent expense ba siya? Dili. Salaries expense? Dili. Utilities? No. Gasoline expense? No. Charitable contributions expense. Charitable. Charity. Donation. Diba? So, related yan siya. So, we have to dito natin siya i-reflect sa charitable contributions expense. So, for December 24, debit charitable contributions expense worth 1,000 pesos. Then, credit cash, kasi cash yung binigay natin, 1,000. So, to record, itong ginawa natin, donation. Then, reflect it here. Debit charitable. Yun, dito. December. Anong date yun? 24. 1,000. Tapos, credit, cash. 1,000 pesos. Okay. So, next we have December 27. Received 20,000 from Teresa Medina, a client for services rendered. So, nakadawat daw ta og 20,000 class, no? Gikan ni Medina para sa to ang services rendered. So, that will of course increase. So, at least nag-increase ang ato ang cash 20,000. And of course, that will be reflected also as an increase for our revenues, consulting revenues kay services rendered ba. Consulting revenues 20,000. An increase in consulting revenues is recorded on the credit side. So for this transaction, December 27, so debit cash 20,000. Tapos credit consulting revenues 20,000. To record services rendered. Then reflect it here sa inyong T accounts. December 27, 20,000. Tapos consulting revenues, another 20,000. Now we have December 28. Paid cash to Tulungan Manpower Services in payment for contractual secretarial services during the past 2 weeks, 6,000. So, magbayad na po ta class o salary, no? Magbayad na po tag salary para sa Tulungan Manpower Services. So, in that case, so sa December 28, so debit natin ang salaries expense 6,000, tapos credit cash kay nagbayad man ta og cash class 6,000. Actually same siya og transaction sa December 14. So kuan siya class ha, kanang sunod siya. So debit salaries expense 6,000. Credit cash 6,000. That is the record payment of salary. Then reflect that of course sa ato ang T accounts. Salaries expense 6,000, tapos credit cash 6,000. Another. Okay, same date 28 ra gyapon siya class. So sa isa magud ka day class, it will be na daghan kay kag transactions, no? So in real world, dili lang isa ka transaction sa isa ka date. So it could be more than one. So sa same date, December 28, paid electric bill 750,000. So klaro na kaayo. Nagbayad ta og payment for our electric bill. So that is utilities expense, No? So, debit, utilities, expense. $750. Tapos, of course, that is cash on the credit side. Kay decrease man na siya class kay nagbayad man ka 750,000 to record payment of electric bill. Then reflect natin dito utilities bill 750. So don't forget to reflect it here, no, sa debit and credit side. So naadyo siya corresponding effects. Kung naakagisputang sa debit side, you must also have a transaction on the credit side para balance siya class. Then lastly, we have made partial payment on supplies purchased on account 1,000. So remember nga natay giutang, right? On December 17. Diba? So both of the supplies on account sa December 17. So pagka 29 daw class, nagbayad ta partial payment on office supplies on account 1,000. So this partial payment, ang iyang effects ani class is of course nagbayad man ta og 1,000, mag-decrease ang ato ang cash. No, mag-decrease atong cash. And of course, mag-decrease po ang ato ang accounts payable. So decrease in cash na siya sa credit side. How about sa accounts payable? Aha siya mag-decrease sa debit side. So, meaning, ang ato ang transaction on December 29, debit accounts payable. $1,000. Post credit cash 1,000. To record partial payment. Then reflected here, accounts payable, debit side. So tanawa na siya sa credit, no. So maminusan na siya kay nagbayad na ta. So this is on December 29, 1,000. Tapos credit cash 1,000 also. Okay, so that's for our journal entries, and of course diri sa ato ang kuan class, sa ato ang T accounts, ato siyang i-total. So i-total ako siya. Okay, so ito yung magiging total, no? So sa cash, ang sa debit side 265,000, ang sa credit side is 37,350. Now, ano yung difference? Meaning, kung isubtract natin itong 265,000 to 37,350, ano yung difference? So, ang subtraction is, ang difference is 227,650. Now, question, ano yung normal balance ng cash? Diba? Ano yung normal balance? So, usually, ang normal balance kung saan siya mag-i-increase, yun yung normal balance. So, sa cash, ang normal balance niya is dito sa debit side. So, ang difference class, so, kung imo na siyang i-minus class, ang difference na niya, diri mo na siya ibutang sa iyahang normal balance. Okay? So, ang normal balance niya sa debit side. So, ano yung difference? 227,650. Okay? Tapos, double rule. So, meaning, ito na yung final answer for the cash account. Okay, so wala tayong accounts receivable. Wala tayong transaction dyan. So, sa office supplies, wala na siyang other transactions. Ito lang. So, double rule lang. Yan. Okay, sa accounts payable, so ano yung difference? So, 2,800 minus 1,000. 1,800. Now, the question, ano yung normal balance na accounts payable? So, sa liabilities, ano yung normal balance? So, that is on the credit side. Okay? So, dito natin ilalagay yung difference niya na 1,800. Then, double rule. Always double rule para ma-determine natin ang final answer niya. Okay, sa sikat capital, so, ito lang. So, double rule lang siya. Sikat withdrawals, double rule. Tapos, consulting revenues. Yun. So, ang total niya is 65,000, double rule. Rent expense, double rule, 10,000. Salaries expense, total 12,000, double rule lang siya sa debit side. Utilities expense, 1,750. Gasoline expense, 600. Charitable contribution expense, 1,000. Now, after this, meron na tayong mga balances. I-reflect na natin to doon sa ating trial balance to know if nag-balance ba ang ating mga transactions. Okay? Okay, so now let us reflect the amounts on the balances of each T accounts. So sa cash, we have debit, 227,650. So, sa trial balance, ilalagay natin siya dito sa debit side. So, worth 227,650. So, remember, sa trial balance form natin, meron tayong title, no? So, ito yung name ng business. Then, of course, lagay natin trial balance at kung yung date kung saan nag-end yung transactions natin. So, it ended on the month of December. Of course, on December 31, 2020. Accounts receivable, meron ba? So, wala. 0. Office supplies, 2,800. So, debit side pa rin siya, class. Accounts payable. Accounts payable is on the credit side. So, ilagay din natin siya dito sa credit side. Sikat capital, 200,000 on the credit side. So, dapat hindi kayo magkamali sa pag-reflect ng amount kung anong side siya, whether it is on the debit or credit side. Sikat withdrawal debit, debit side siya, 11,000. Tapos, consulting revenues, 65,000 on the credit side. Rent expense, 10,000, debit side. Salaries expense, 12,000, debit side. Okay, normal balance kasi ng expenses sa debit side. Utilities expense, debit side, 1,750. We have gasoline expense, 600. And of course, charitable contributions expense, 1,000. Okay? So, after that class, i-balance natin siya. I-add natin ang sa debit side at saka sa credit side. And let's find out kung nag-balance ba siya. So, i-add natin siya 1,800 plus 200,000 plus 65,800. Of course, that is 266,800. Okay? So, pag i-add din natin to, 227,650 plus 2,800 plus 11,000 plus 10,000 plus 12,000 plus 1,750 plus 600 plus 1,000. That is, of course, 266,800. So, nag-balance siya. So, double rule for that final answer. And that's all for our problem solving sa number 14. No? So remember, kapag journalizing, posting, and preparing a trial balance, so you have to, kailangan mong gumawa ng journal entries. Ito siya. Journal entries, tapos the T accounts, and then the trial balance. So pag sinabi na T accounts lang, then ito lang yung gagawin nyo. Diretso na kayo sa T accounts. Pag sinabi na journalizing transactions, katulad nito, journalizing transactions, tapos required is journal entries lang, then all you just have to do is this one. Journal entries lang. So, pag T accounts at saka trial balance, for example, this one, T accounts, tapos trial balance, as well as here, naka-indicate na T accounts lang siya, tapos trial balance. So, ito lang yung gagawin ninyo. T accounts, tapos trial balance. So, wag nyo nang pahirapan pang sarili ninyo. So, kaya ang ginawa ko is number 14, problem 14, kasi tatlo siya, journalizing. Yung posting is your trial balance, T accounts rather. Tapos, the trial balance. Okay, so I hope you have learned on the four steps para sa ating accounting cycle. So, that is the analyzing, tapos recording on our journal entries. Then we have posting or for our T accounts, and we have the trial balance. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.